Hello, NeXT community. Take two. All right. I hope your day and weekend went better than mine. So I spent most of the day trying to get my Vatronics chip programmer working. In fact, a lot of time this weekend. I'll show you some of my tools. One is that light around the iPhone is on a tripod. And I was showing how these are really neat because they have all these different plugs and they rotate, right, like this. And then the cord retracts into it. So I think I'm going to start selling some of this stuff because it's pretty neat. And I had this light plugged into the USB port, and I'll probably add that feature in because you guys will get a kick out of me pulling without even thinking that the light was connected and it falls over and smashes through the floor. Shout out to the guys that made the light, to iPhone, to OtterBox, as they all survived the fall. So I've got a picker-upper here, which is pretty neat. So I constantly drop things, and so this has a pretty good range of what it can pick up. And with my hip and such, it's come in handy. You know, I'm dropping like things every few minutes. So what am I doing? I don't know, what is it here? Look at my, it's 1:45 in the morning. This headlamp works out great. I can see into computers. I can focus. I can find things really easily because the lighting isn't the greatest in this room. And if I turn on the overhead lights, it's often too bright. I'm going to get some lights that are more ambient and controllable. And then Bella's going to be interjecting. That's my cat here, as she usually does. She'll want to be right in the middle of the action. So you're actually going to get a cat training as part of this video. And I see she's ignored her treats like any other time. It's like she eats this stuff by the handfuls until I want to demonstrate, you know, how smart cats can be. Okay, come over here. Hey. So she knows how to stay out of the camera like a ninja. But the idea is you could teach them to do 30 tricks. I can also use this to point at things, which is kind of handy. And so the first trick you teach a cat is it bumps his nose on this thing, and then you give him a treat. And so eventually you can get circus cats going. I don't know if she ever will. She's 20 years old. But you can get them to go in circles, to do high fives, to fetch beers. That's what I'm hoping eventually. Yeah, I'm a little loopy today, let me tell you. Spending a lot of time with the ChatGPT. We were so close, okay? I learned more about Windows 11 in emulation using UTM than I ever wanted to know. Actually got the Windows to recognize the USB chip programmer. And I think we're within a driver of getting it all to work. Trying to get it to work on Mac OS through Wine is a whole other can of worms. And so I said, well, let's go back to the, back in time hell of Microsoft, which is, because it was, this particular unit was supported by Windows 7 and XP. So I'm going to install those, and then hopefully the drivers work so I can burn ROM chips for NeXT computers again, which will be really neat. I'd like to do that. And And so I spent way too much time this weekend doing that. And I hope you guys don't mind Cat's meowing, because she's going to be, even though she's been fed 20 times. Okay. So the projects I have going here, that carbon X1C back that way, let me get my pointer. Back that way, okay, there's a thing called an extruder in a 3D printer and a hot end. I'm learning the lingo. That's my first 3D printer. And so what has happened? I am not the only one. There are plenty of people out there that have had, it's great when printers work, right? It's like anything. And as you can tell from all the stuff in here, I've been doing repairs and selling hardware for a very long time, over 30 years. So I'm not afraid to get into things. And yesterday, I think in my last video, I had to back off that because some screws, it was like Murphy's Laws of screws, bounced perfectly through a tiny little slot, you know. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take it apart because I don't want those getting into the screw ends as it's going, you know, back and forth, you know, printing it out. And then all of a sudden, a little tiny screw jams the thing up. And at any rate, I found that there was a cable tie that had fallen off from the factory, and then I found a couple little screws, and then one of them is directly in back of stuff. I debated whether I wanted to take that whole assembly out for just one part, and I got to looking at the construction of it. It's like the main board, and then there's belts that run that have a specific tension, and everything is hooked into a framework. And I said, I'm not going to do that for one screw. But it seems like it's set up that way, and I will be going into detail. So in the madness of it, I bought a second Bambu Labs X1C carbon, and these AMS, which control 4 filaments at a time. Only to find out today that in Q1, Bambu Labs will be releasing a larger version of their printer. And it's going to have dual heads as well as a larger print volume, which will be nice because we've been... Yeah. How about we do some tricks, huh? I mean, it's only been going on all day, starting at 5:30 this morning. So, how about one trick for the fans? Right? One. Just one. Here, bump your nose. Bump it. Here, treat. You've earned a treat. Good girl. How about if I just scratch you instead? So this new printer coming out is going to be faster, have larger build volumes. We've been creating 3D parts, so we'll be able to build a 2-scale NeXT cube shell. It's pretty neat. One of my customers, and I consider him a friend over in Luxembourg, Elaine, has been doing an amazing job creating all these 3D NeXT parts. So that's why I'm getting multiple NeXT computers, because it's neat that I can print out. For example, Brian Archer's creating a third-party sound card. NeXT requires, I gotta get just a little bit of a paper towel here on top of everything else. I've had strep throat. My voice is coming back. Sorry about this. And I just don't want stuff leaking out of my... So, Brian Archer's third-party sound card. NeXT has a couple of Achilles heels. Anybody that owns a NeXT computer has encountered this stuff. So, great ideas at the time, but they set in like a proprietary keyboard and mouse called non-ADB. And then that is plugged into one of these NeXT monitors. Where there was a sound card, NeXT was the first computer with CD quality sound, and pretty amazing, okay? Up until then, computers basically just went beep. So NeXT was also the first company to distribute their software on CD-ROM, and had a collaboration with Sony to produce 1X CD-ROMs to install NeXT Step 3.0. And we collaborated on one of the first third-party CDs called the Alembic CD. And a lot of my customers, it's pretty neat after all these years. Jesse Tyler, I think it's, had the first web app store and the web CD that he showed Steve Jobs. That, you know, we could create these CDs. We had one of the first web-based stores where you could go in, and I've got the old stuff on my website. You could look at a software package, click a link, download it, and install it on your NeXT. And this was in the 90s. And I was tasked with selling web objects for a while. I was literally the last guy still selling NeXT and OpenStep on the planet when the merger happened. I've got tons of stories. If you're interested in reading about NeXT, you can go to my eBay store. It's Computer Powwow on eBay, and I've got the Inside NeXT book. Luciano is the main author, was gracious enough to have us collaborate and add an extra 36 pages for this year's edition. Because, you know, my dad had passed away a few months ago, I'm keeping the price the same as a tribute to him. And, you know, I've come close with my own ailments, but I'm still here, still alive and kicking. I still have a fractured hip. Hopefully third time's the charm. They've delayed my hip surgery till January 8th. So, you know, here we are a couple weeks before Christmas. And I am sorry if I'm rambling on. I am just going to kind of do some things and see where we get in this video. So back to the printers. I'm going to jump around to a lot of different stuff, and I hope you find it cool. That Carbon X1 printer. So what happens, as if you watch my previous videos, there's a filament that goes up through some what's called PTFE tubing, and it gets all the way into the shell of the printer and makes it all the way up to what's called the extruder. And then the extruder feeds the filament down into what's called the hot end. And then it brings it up to temperature, and then it, you know, does layers on your 3D print. And it's kind of neat. You can take an image, like I was able to convert a NeXT logo image and import it and convert it to what's called an STL file. And they have different software packages like Tinkercad and Maker's World. There's literally millions of little things you can print out there. And so I've been having fun learning how all the tools work. And I've always been really good with third-party software and CAD. This is an example. This is like the Kabbalah. It represents carbon. It's like the life forces. And I was able to do it in 4 different colors. And this symbol is actually thousands of years old. It's kind of neat. So now it exists in the 3D universe. The original author had it in just one color. And then with the Bambu Labs maker software, I was able to go in and paint different sections and make sure that they were all filled in. It's quite a complicated process. I've got videos on that. So not having that work the last couple weeks has been frustrating. And thinking back, I should have just had the second printer going the whole time. But I got focused and drawn in to try and repair that one. But in the process of doing that, I learned a lot about how these printers work And in doing research with ChatGPT and with other makers out there and reading their stories and watching YouTube videos, this appears to be a common problem across all printer platforms. So what happens is a little tiny piece of filament can get caught. And the nozzle is only 2 millimeters, 4 millimeters, or 6 millimeters. Sometimes it's the fault of the filament. The filament's 1.75 millimeters, and the PTFE tubing is only 2 millimeters that it goes through. So if there's a little bit of a burr on the filament, it causes it to jam in the extruder. And now I know how to tear down extruders and heads and reassemble them. And I've got some ideas for them as well. There's different vendors that make it a lot easier than Bambu has currently, where you can just unscrew the nozzle and then screw a new one in to clear the clog. You've got these little, it's like a needle to go in and poke it through. Sometimes that works. Other times you do what's called a cold pull, where you heat up the filament, drop it down in there, let it cool down, and then you hit the controls on the panel and it kind of spits it out. Sometimes that pulls it out. But in my case, I've disassembled everything. I've replaced the extruder and the hot end, and I'm still getting jams. So my thought is it's possibly a sensor on the little boards that are in there. I haven't replaced those yet. But having a second identical X1C carbon is going to double my productivity as well. When you have multicolored prints, I was finding that some of them were taking well over a day, and I like to do more than one, but it's because I'm doing complicated stuff, 3 or 4 different colors. It looks like the new version of the Bambu printer coming out that was literally just leaked a few hours ago will have a double extruder. So with this AMS, you've got 4 reels, and I'll show you guys this stuff. So the reels will have to pull the old filament out, push the new one in, bring it up to temperature, cut off a section of it, drop it into what's called the poop chute bucket. So you get a lot of excess unused filament every time it switches filaments. And my thought is, man, they could just have it print out in one color, and then you could have a second machine where you can run it through and just have it painted. And so I've got a 4-in-1 crafts machine I'm going to be hooking up as well. My timeline has been thrown by the fact I focused on that X1C and getting it back in operation, but it was well worth my time because now I understand a lot more about how this whole process works. I've repaired a lot of NeXT laser printers and color printers and computers over the years, so I'm not afraid to get in under the shell. And these are actually, in a lot of ways, easier to work on. So let's continue with this. I was going to show a couple things I've been buying and thinking of selling on the website that are kind of cool. Starting to get some things sent to me to mess around with as well and see if there are products I want to carry. And we're developing products too. One of the most exciting products that is currently in production is going to be a replacement for the NeXT non-ADB keyboards and mice, which is kind of the Achilles heel. So this, I'm told, is a little laser projector. I really like this headset I have on. It has made life so much easier because I can actually see what I'm doing in this dark room or if I'm in the basement. So let's see how this works. So I'm just going to let that kind of go there. So that's kind of neat. We'll just let it do its thing so you get special effects in the background of my craziness. And I'm told this is a really neat projector. One of the things that I did as a project Uh, Most of the original NeXT developers have moved on, long ago. But there's still little pockets of NeXT computers that are running even to this day. And some of them were Intel, many were original NeXT hardware. And one of the things that I was tasked with doing, which I think everybody else had passed up because it was really complicated. So NASA contacted me. It's a true story. I've got NASA photos to prove it. I'll do a little presentation on that. Back in about, I think, 2006 timeframe, 2008, as they needed to fine-tune the Hubble. And the original computers that controlled, they were called the ABA computers that controlled or dialed in the optics for the Hubble, ran on NeXT on Intel. And the systems had crashed. So they wouldn't have been able to extend the life of the Hubble if they were not able to find somebody crazy enough to take on the project to bring them back to life. And it was interesting because they couldn't actually send me the computer. So I had to reverse engineer it from here. I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, but at the time I was living in the Denver Tech Center. And was able to do it, send them the hard drive. They put it in, fired it up, and it worked. And they probably said, "Can you make us a faster one?" Which I did. And interestingly enough, those computers are still being used and were used to dial in the optics of the James Webb Telescope. I'm a legend in my own mind. So I've had so many projects through the years because the original, I stand on the shoulders of giants. I mean, AI was started in NeXT. The app was called Neural Solutions, and the company's nd.com. There's a company, Symbolics. They were the first .com registered site, and they also developed some of the early AI stuff on NeXT. And I just found that out recently, and I was actually prompting ChatGPT, and it's pretty neat, the conversations that I've had with ChatGPT today. And so there's, I'm signed up now as an official personal account, and I'm going to put some of that stuff into a book, because with the help of artificial intelligence, it's going to make it a lot easier. And I've also got some tools that'll help. It's late, so some of the stuff is escaping me right from the top of my head. But one of them is a little device that will take your conversation. I wish I would have had this going to CSU. And if you watch TikTok, you probably see people with this thing, and it works great. So it'll take your conversation, like taking notes or listening to any conversation, and it will organize it all, put it into note form, or you can, put it into book form. And I think that it will save me so much time if I could just narrate the stories and have it all, immediately using AI tools dropped into book format. And then, I can put, have it edited. And so I should have some neat stories and books coming out. The Inside NeXT book, I co-authored 12 pages. And we're in, I think, the 6th or 7th edition. So it was kind of fun to actually have some of my stories in this 2024 edition. I kept the price the same, as I say, as a tribute to my dad that passed a few months ago. So it's been kind of a tough time for me to stay focused on things as well. But I'm hanging in there. I'm happy to be alive after bouts with MRSA and COVID. So, life's pretty good. Let's see how this thing works. Now, this is supposedly like a planetarium type deal. So we're going to have that going. And I have never even used this thing. So let's see how well it does in projecting stuff. Ooh, we get a little bit of music in the background. Let me see if I can turn that down a bit. Hey. All right, so I can turn off these lights over here, maybe. I'm still hobbling around. So my hip surgery is rescheduled for January 8th. I really like this light. You can go every which direction with it. I'm not going to move it around too much because I don't want it to fall off and me to look like a fool any more than I am already. But it really makes it easy to work on systems as well. But this headset is great. So, hey, now we're talking. There. Let's see if I can find something besides clanking bells. Maybe, I don't know. Sweet. All right. I guess I just muted it, which may not be too bad. I know enough to be dangerous at this point. All right, we turned it off. That's good. Oh, wow. Yeah, this one's supposed to be the Super Scoob. Let's see if we got music still or no. Huh. I want to see if there's like something a little bit. Well, I guess we'll just live with it. So this is going to be kind of neat. Wow, I like that. So we got lasers and all kinds of stuff here. I'm going to have a room upstairs. It's kind of, one room's going to be a pirate ship, and I've got big tapestries. And then the other room's going to be my little NeXT museum, where I'm going to have these effects set up, kind of like my Zen go-to place to chill out. So, well, we're going to have fun with this. I still don't have a cat doing tricks for you, sorry. Try not to say too much because I think she's sleeping. Well, that makes it a little bit better in the background because then you guys are getting some special effects here at the black hole. I've always kind of been on the cutting edge of tech, and this stuff is really pretty neat. So, I've even got a little miniature Tesla coil, things like that. For the cat treats, I'm going to go ahead and put them away because that gives me more space to work here. We're actually going to get stuff set up here in a second. So, guys are like, well, you start talking. And I don't expect you to sit and watch this whole thing, but maybe it'll be like a good sleep video, right? Because I don't sleep well most nights because I'm too busy with, got so many things on my mind like these days. So I've decided to invest in the correct tools, so I no longer look like an idiot working on this stuff. But even with the correct tools, I may still look like an idiot. But I'm okay with that. I don't claim to be perfect, and I wouldn't want to be. So this kit is really neat. And it is everything you need for 3D printing. And I've kind of searched and I bought a bunch of different stuff. and I really liked what I saw here. And I want to offer this on the site as well, because I think I can. I'll start getting more sponsors, things like that. I'd like to, and show you guys some cool stuff that's available. I won't make much on it, but I think I could do is, there's a lot of really good, talented YouTubers out there. So there's a lot of content. And I don't know if mine will ever be up to, the level of some of them, because I don't have the time. But, I'm 61. So at some point, it's just fun for me to do this stuff. Keeps the lights on and things like that. So this tool set I thought was really neat. And this is all the tools you need, for working on 3D printers. And as I continue to get better at all this, I'll be able to use a lot of these. And like this is the scrapers. They're coming out with better, what's called a hot plate. And that's where your 3D print sits. And so there's glues that you use currently so that your prints don't simply fall over or warp. And Bambu does an excellent job at keeping the temperature the same, does auto bed leveling and everything else. But these tools are going to help me because there's always going to be some kind of mechanical part to printers. And I may even start tinkering with some of the kits as well. I'm kind of jumping in. I love working on NeXT hardware, so a lot of this will work with NeXT hardware as well. But I've been buying all the different little screw kits and tools, so it's fun for me. It's a new hobby. And the 4-in-1 crafts machine, you guys are gonna dig that as well. It's a laser cutter. It does etching. It's got a rotor, so I can do etching on mugs. It's also got a press, so I can make T-shirt transfers and logos. It prints on 1,000 different materials. And my plan was to have all that set up as well. But I got stuck, I like to figure out one thing and then move on. And the carbon was working great. And I'm not sure if I was sabotaged or I sabotaged myself, but it stopped working. And I guess it's a common issue. And I think I've traced it down to a little sensor. Having a second one set up, my thought is I'm going to be able to use it with computer troubleshooting sometimes. I can take a component from one and put it into another one. And that helps me figure out if it's software, if it's a hardware component, and which hardware component's failing. And I should have done that, as I say, probably over a week ago, because it's I burned up a lot of my time. I've got a lot of nice orders on deck that I've been juggling as well. I do have a couple assistants. Laurie's been helping out tremendously. And then I've got Tom, and I've got Rental that he's been helping. I take good care of my renters down there, so we're putting in a new door and new lights in the garage and stuff. And I'm going to have better lighting in here. Upstairs, as I say, one room's going to be a pirate ship, and the second's going to be a little computer museum, and it's going to have a space theme. So I've got tapestries that are going to make it look like a spaceship, which will be kind of fun. And then I've got my bedroom as well, which I think these two little deals are going to look pretty fun in there. And I can turn this headlamp, works great, and it's got a rechargeable battery. So without it, you can see how dim it is in here. I still have a desk light and some kitchen lights on. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let me see if I can kind of just move these toys back this way. I knew something was going to fall off. Fortunately, it wasn't glass, right? My God. And I may, you know, we'll see how far we get. Probably be a multi-part series. I hope you all are enjoying my commentary. So there's a couple things that are going to be useful that I think guys that work on, you know, or have computers or a lot of cables like me. This is one of the, as I say, I'm always on the cutting edge. That thing that fell off was just kind of a template, so it should be okay. But this is neat. You've got a little sticker here, and then it's a magnet for organizing cables. So I've always got like 8 or 10 different devices, you know, going to write images to SDs, and then taking that SD image over to a Zulu card, and then booting up the NeXT. So I've got my Mac Mini over here, where I, using Previous, which is our NeXT 68K emulator, I'm able to create images. For some customers, I've been able to save all of their stuff off their old NeXTs and make an SD that they can take to their modern Mac or PC and plug it in, copy it over, power up, and go. And so it's been great. I mean, there was one guy that found like love letters between him and his wife that passed away a while back. So it's really emotional. I've had people that have brought their NeXT here and break down in tears, you know, because this is like, I mean, there's just something about the NeXT community and these computers that have kept me doing this. I never thought it would be a career, and I'd be doing this. I started in '93 as my living, but I care about my customers and people. And with my health issues, it's been nice to just run my own business, and it's all in those 12 pages of Inside NeXT. But when I start writing books about all these different stories, I think they'll be interesting. So I'm just going to kind of put stuff up there, and then we're going to do the unboxing. I built this coffee table the other day. So I've been constructing, you know, surface areas. Let's see, is it this side that lifts up? So this is kind of neat. So it's got a hidden area here, and I figure it will work well when I need an extra surface space. And it wasn't too bad. I mean, it took like 3 or 4 hours. It's got a couple of drawers down below. On the other side, you can slide out. And it's pretty good quality. And I want to say it was under $100. I think it was around $62 from Temu. So I've been buying stuff from Temu and Amazon. I've got a couple more roller desks coming. They're going to use for the Bambu Labs printers, and another desk, as well as the one back here, just to have surface space. And then I've got my 2 8-footers here for NeXT stuff, and built that little shelving unit over there. So I've got shelves in the garage here, and then the other room. So I've always got, you know, a bunch of different projects going, so I try and multitask. When I talked about the Murphy's Laws of screws, I've even got my Mucinex ready to go. Lozenges if I completely lose my voice. So I picked up, there's these magnetic tools that work great, because you always are bouncing screws on the ground. I don't know what was going on the other day, but I had a little 3D printed part that had desiccant, which is like silicone that you put in so it draws the moisture out of the filaments. Well, one was sitting on the table back here while I was working on the A1C, and I knocked it off, and promptly sat on my glasses. So now there's like 1,000 of these little beads all over the place. And if you've ever seen the screw on the glass, it went in there and the lenses popped out. And I was just like, man, I was not having a good day. So this will pick up, you know, it's an expandable. It's a little magnet on the end. Many of you have probably seen it, but it works good. So I've got my little razor blade here to open these boxes. I figured I'd make it easy on myself, you know, hopefully won't cut myself opening them in the unboxing video as it continues. I sure hope this is recording and I don't run out of space on the iPhone. So this is like another little device that lets you fish screws out of, you know, areas, or you can use it like in drains. And so it was a little kit that was on Amazon. I bought a couple of them just so I have them at the different areas that I work at, you know. So I believe this is a magnetic around the corner deal, which is kind of cool. So you can bend it in every direction. This will be good when I'm working on cars or whatever, once I get my hip fixed. And then this is a little thing, I believe it's going to have the little claw that comes out. Yeah, so it's got this claw that comes out. Like if you drop a ring down a drain, you can send this down there like a snake, or it can grab the clog out of there. In my case, I was going to use it possibly on the printer, and then I got to thinking, man, if I sent this through and grab the wrong thing, it could be a real mess. I've also got one of those little cameras that's on a snake. I was fishing back in there, and then at some point I just said, this is ridiculous. And that's when I started to disassemble it and take off the back plate. And this is after buying a new extruder, new hot end, and it's still rejecting the filament. So I want to see if it's actually, and I should be able to prove it, that it's not the hot end, it's not the filament. I also got a different style of filament from another company that makes more sense. That kit's going to help because it has the little pliers that help you pull carefully these little tiny micro connectors that are on the hot end that plug into a little tiny micro board. And I think I showed that in a couple of videos as well. Eventually, I'll get better at making all these. That was out cold. That's good. I should be as well. So let's have some fun here and unbox the AMS. Let me do a Mucinex here. I'm starting to get congested, so it's probably a combination of cat dander. Lori's been keeping the place pretty dust-free and clean. Drain my hot tub and you know, change out the water. Then of course it's going to go below freezing tonight, but there's no water in it except at the very bottom of it. So fingers crossed, it's not going to burst any pipes in it. It's like a hot tub swim spa we got to that I need to use more often. I was trying to rehab my hip, and then they realized it was actually fractured. Okay, so Bambu Labs AMS. This is genius. So each one of these holds 4 filaments. And I really want to be printing because now I've amassed a whole lot of filaments, and I think some of these companies are actually starting to send me extra filaments to check out. Because I had some show up the other day from a filament manufacturer in China. And it was like 10 rolls of copper and 10 rolls of gold. And I just read a story that they found the world's largest gold mine over there, which is interesting. It's going to be producing, I guess, 1,100 tons of gold. Well, in Colorado here, there's still gold up in their hills. Hey, that's kind of neat. You don't get that much in unboxing videos. Laser effects. So this razor blade works great for carefully, you know, I do a lot of packing and shipping. I really like the way they package their products too. Nice sturdy boxes, clearly marked. But I had those rolls come in from China that they didn't even have the street address on them. It was just Rob in Fort Collins, and then the guys down in FedEx know me, right? And so they called and said, yeah, you got a couple packages here from China, but they don't have your street address. We just need to verify it. And they're kind of laughing about it. I said, yeah, no. They're starting to send me stuff, which is kind of cool. We'll find out if they're good quality. So with this, I'm going to try this technique. Turn it upside down. Let's see if it'll come loose. There we go. Didn't look too foolish on that. Okay, there's a box for Bella. And so that's probably the instructions, but I already know how to do this stuff. Knock on wood. Okay. So our AMS. See, this is good quality packing. There's a power cord we're going to need. It's kind of like a jukebox, for lack of a better description. For those of you that are also new to 3D printing. I mean, I've only started a few months ago, and I'm already in. But you know, it's kind of like a much-needed hobby, and you know, take my mind off things. And my dad passed; he was like my best friend as well. We had kind of a celebration of life a few weeks ago. It's online. My sister and her husband came out. It was kind of an impromptu family reunion. Cousins and aunts, uncles came in from Arizona and Canada. And a good son sent off. Got a fairly talented family with musicians and singers. Good friend. So, in fact, one of the other things I did is bought a guitar. So I want to start playing again. I started about 40 years ago, and I had to quit because of arthritis forming on my hands. And so I'm making a comeback. Starting to lose weight. It's called the stress diet. Okay, so we're just unboxing here. So I just kind of look at it methodically, and if you're very careful, you know, unlike, you know, the Christmas morning where you tear everything apart. And I try and reuse a lot of these materials when I'm shipping products too. And I'll keep, you know, originals in case there's any problems with them. I see in the with bamboo, and I'll probably wind up getting one of these larger format printers as well. They've changed this to probably handle larger rolls, and I kind of hope maybe they'll ship me some of that stuff in the future if I get enough subscribers. If I'm well liked. I know I'm well liked in the NeXT community, and I'll just keep putting these videos out there and get better at making them when I have time. So this is the PTFE tube, and it feeds into the back of the Bambu Labs printer. Just go ahead and peel this off so I can show you what goes on inside here. If you've never seen it, it's kind of neat. You get that nice noise, and then we're getting the reflection of the laser light. And we got the calm, tranquil music. All right, how's that? So these are the rolls, the filament rolls, and so you have thousands of different types of filaments. And what's neat about Bambu Labs is it'll work with pretty much any of the filaments available in the market today, including carbon fiber. I can do metal. I've done some really neat stuff, and so my assistant Lori, she brought a couple of her grandkids over yesterday, and you know, we put them to work moving a bunch of furniture, cleaning out a room upstairs, and so I gave them a bunch of 3D printed stuff. I said, now is that fair compensation for your work? They were like, yeah, because they got so it worked out great for them and me. So they got a bunch of cool little toys, you know, and like, you know, Steve Jobs heads, and I had, oh man, little airplanes and reindeer and boats and all kinds of stuff that I 3D printed. And I did that for Halloween too. It turned out really well. So this one's a little bit different in color. And what's neat about the Bambu Labs software is if you use their filaments, they've got a little RFID reader. And so it identifies the filament, and it will keep a running track on how much you're using for each print and how much time each one is involved. You know, they're making things more efficient, so there's not as much filament waste as well. And so you feed it down into here, and then it goes through the machine, and then it sorts out the 4, and then funnels it down into this tube back here. And then you have your plug-in, so you plug in, it's like a little 6-pin connector, and then that plugs into the back of the Bambu that communicates with this to determine which spool needs to load and unload. The next version of the printer they're going to be releasing will have 2 extruders. So that should make it run more efficiently, because when the reels are loading and unloading, there's always going to be one printing, which should make things run a heck of a lot faster. And these printers, I mean, there's new innovations daily. And that's what I really like about the makers community. I have really enjoyed myself being a part of it, because I've always kind of been that way with the NeXT community, just willing to help people that, you know, get their computers up and running. There seems to be like part of the culture as well of the 3D printing community that I'm accustomed to and have been for years. So I feel like, you know, I can fit right in. And I am a total noob at some of this stuff, so I'm starting to get a handle on it, but believe me, there's a lot of really polished professional videos out there that just put me to shame. But as I say, I'm getting better. And this unboxing one's just kind of for fun. I just wanted to see if I could sit here and talk to you guys, and hopefully this is all filming. You know, I can unbox and set it up and maybe get something printing tonight. So in the second box, we're going to find the fully assembled printer. I had a former roommate that had, when he started, he bought his printer as a kit. And I'll probably do that now that I understand, how everything works. And they make a little, it's like their A1 version of the printer you know, is under $200. And it's like a bed printer, and I think it's partially assembled. And so he had, you know, even a few years ago, nothing was as, you know, complete as it is now. And these printers were on sale for Black Friday. That's why I picked up a second one. One, because as I say, it's frustrating when you want to print more stuff and you have one printer that's stuck on a print that says it's got the timer, so it tells you how much time now too. Down to the second. It's pretty amazing, and you can watch them, you know, and if your print has problems, it'll tell you. You can watch the print from anywhere in the world. I can start prints from anywhere in the world. At Bambu Labs, this is like the flagship and, you know, one of the best printers on the market. Although in the last year, there's been a lot of innovation and a lot of printers coming on board. So like anything with tech, it gets better and faster and cheaper to manufacture. And I'm looking forward to their larger footprint printer coming out in the next few months. As I say, that'll allow me to make full-size NeXT 3D cubes, and even in metal. So in magnesium, I think I'll be able to do. So we'll be able to resurrect the NeXT. Okay, this last side here. And I've got a torn rotator cuff in my right shoulder. And you know, I made a video on how to pack it and ship a 17-inch monitor the other day. It's like a NeXT color monitor, and man, it did do a number on my arm. So I was going to have surgery on that as well, but I'm going to keep delaying my hip surgery. It's been kind of frustrating. And I also suffer from an ailment called aging, which I think we all suffer from. Okay, so let's see if I can use my grabber, or one of them. I got different style ones. I got the extended heavy duty version that came in yesterday, because I'm constantly, rather than get up with this fractured hip, I find if I have this little tool, I can grab stuff up off the floor. It's not being lazy, it's just being in pain more than anything, and it's more efficient. Okay, so we've got our bubble wrap here, inserts, and because I've done this printer before, hopefully I won't make too many mistakes. Let's see, we've got our little guide here as well. I seem to recall that I was able to pick the thing up and out of here by the plastic. I really like the way they do this bubble wrap all the way around. Try to do that first, and that's going to give us a little bit of a space all the way around the printer. Let's see if we can do that. And the side's taped as well. Okay. Yeah, and this makes really good packing material. So I try to recycle boxes and material whenever I can. And some of the stuff that I've had sent to me over the years, it's been incredible. Just the different things that people have used. Old pillows and everything else. Okay. So here, with any luck, I should be able to lift this out, straight up, and hopefully it's not going to fracture me any more than I already am. Okay. Under this table. There we go. Hey, not too bad. Almost like I knew what I'm doing, huh? And then down at the bottom of here, they include 3 rolls and tools and all kinds of stuff, which I have now found out what they're all for. You know, know, they do a good job at including spare stuff. And actually, this might come in handy to have my little grabber here. Let's get the industrial one. We don't wake up Bella. All right, so this guy should help me pull stuff out of here. I just want to get the foam inserts out. As I say, my hip's killing me right now. Oh, supposed to look good at doing this. See if we can grab this one. There we go. There's one. There you guys are going, man. I think on the film I'll be able to speed up and stuff. Because I'm using Keynote. I want to use this as a good video. So maybe segments that I'll cut out, speed up and slow down. Add effects too. Alright. There we go. And we got the... This is like that claw game you play. Claw machine to grab stuff. I think I could actually get that one pretty easy and grab a couple of these rolls. Any luck? Won't lose my light from my head. So they give you kind of a couple different types of filament. These aren't even full rolls. So this is just a PLA basic, which is one of the more standard rolls. And that's green. It's okay because I have a ton of this stuff. And this is a little project where you print it out, you make a little clock. And that's kind of neat too, is Bambu is really fair with their pricing and everything else too. How about that? Use my hip for support there. And then this is a different style. So this is actually, I found out later, is for support. And a lot of people mistake and use that to print, and then they get a poor quality print. And that's the reason is it's not really, you've never printed before, you don't know the difference. I'm going to throw this stuff back down in here real quick. Just kind of make room as I go here, right? Now, I'm thinking that there's probably a lot of the stuff I need as we printed out the box. It's probably going to be, as I recall, inside the printer. And we'll start with the manual, how to. And I found following it makes a big difference. They do include a couple tools as well that you need. Most of everything you work on is Allen wrench. For now, I'm going to set this stuff down here. Right, and there, there. And so this is the connection that you need for the back of the AMS, and this is the hub. And then there's probably going to be a box of screws internally in here. So let's see how this bag is wrapped up here. Let's stand out, get some tails out of it. Okay. Let's see where the seam is. I think what I'll do with this is I've got my razor blade, and I can just kind of go along here. It looks like it's actually held with this tape, probably. This is over here. With any luck, go here. Obviously, keep it above the glass. That's the other thing you want to be careful is there's a glass top to these. Looks like they have this one taped in. Okay. So and I know this is the top from experience. Taking it apart. And then there's a door on the front. Which, let's see if we got the right way. Yep, I do. That's good. This is in front over here. Okay. So I'm a firm believer in RTFM. Read the friggin' manual. Let's see if we can detach it from our packing materials as well. Ooh, there's like content makers. It's a huge. It's like a new car smell. Alright, so I'm going to take that in there. See what it says. Warning. We know it's you, Mr. Blessed. Alright, so let's see. I know all this stuff. It's just kind of telling me the different components that are in there. The tool heads, and, the touch panel, and everything else. The filaments, and then we've got our tools, which are those Allen wrenches I was telling you about, and little connectors. So let's kind of go from there. So on this picture, it shows that unit was actually inside here. That's interesting. They shipped it separately. I wonder, that might be one of my extras because I bought 4 of them already. I think that's what that is. So I'll just pull the one out that's in here and then set it aside. As I say, you can hook up 4 of them. So I'll probably have 3 on one printer and 2 on the other. Because I don't really see doing 16 colors the way that it jumps back and forth. Great. I'm just kind of looking through all the assembly instructions. And just do kind of a precursory cover to cover to get an idea, refresh my memory. Okay. I believe step 1 is going to be remove the top, right? And then pull out the parts first. And then I like the way that these are illustrated. And then the AMS. So let's see if we can do that. And then be careful about this packing tape. It should just come up with any luck. I've learned from computers that you should never have to force anything. They're manufactured with precision. So just kind of take your time. This packing materials. If you're in a rush with something like this, I mean, this is a pretty expensive unit. But, the Black Friday sale, some of this stuff was like 40% off. So it was a good opportunity. I've been planning on this for years. And I wanted to get started, and so I really enjoyed this. It's turning, I thought at first it might just be a hobby, but it's turning into more of business. I'm getting people that are putting orders in for different stuff. You know, we're creating parts that we could use for NeXT computers as well. So let me get the other side. See if I can just do it from here, maybe. Why don't I just walk over there? Hey, I'm not doing too bad. Should have probably washed my hands. Oh, man. Ooh, the sound of the tape peeling. All right, one more. Oh, come on now. There we go. Okay. I like how Bella's found the couch over there with the little blanket and stuff. That would have been where I would have probably put this glass down. Oh man, here we go. I'm gonna use the chair over here. Take the cover off that here in a little bit. Okay. And the packing material, you shouldn't have to force it all. Kind of think it through. Okay, this little section. See if I can put it back in the box here so I don't get stuff scattered everywhere. Grab a paper towel. I want to gross people out. Oh, man. Okay. There's the box with all the parts we need. And then here's the AMS. Let's get these last two pieces out of here if we can. Okay. This one here, that's a pretty sturdy piece. Anything else I'm seeing right down here. Throw this out. It's a good way. I mean, this headlamp comes in really handy because I can see right down in there. Okay, so it says just to pull this straight up. I want to make sure I get a good grip on it. Okay, is there something else holding it? That looks like they have it possibly screwed in there. Let me see. Yep. Okay. Let me read the manual. That's a good gotcha. I wouldn't have caught that right away without my headlamp. Yep, right here. Take out the accessory box and use the Allen H2 key. And so they're talking about taking this off here and probably opening that front panel, which makes sense. Okay. Hopefully I'm not going to drop anything on the floor too valuable. Okay. It could have been a lot faster, I'm sure. as I say, I'll just take my time and try to do it right. A couple things over here on the floor. Might as well pick up. I'm searching around for these. And oh gosh. Alright. So now I'm going to turn it towards me a little bit, I think. Okay. Over here. Okay, that's good enough. This one, the last one. All right. Ooh, I might even be able to watch this one and fall asleep. Especially if it's going to print here shortly. All right. This one, I'm going to take a look at how this is fastened. Yep, this headlamp makes all the difference. Slide off. And there's a couple screws. Okay, I'm going to set this over right there. And so 2 screws at the bottom here. Sliding it out through the top. Recommend using the short end of the Allen key. Okay. Oh gosh. Man, I would have to get a runny nose doing this. Sorry. Bad enough I have blisters going. Diabetic blisters in my nose, legs, arms. It's just frustrating. I think it's a combination of all the meds they have me doing. Okay, that's just the box making that noise. So in here we have the touch panel, which is neat. It goes up here. I'll just do it in order. So we'll get these 2 screws. This is to mount the filament on the back. If you want, you can do a 5th roll back there. Some of the TPU, they've just invented one that can go inside. It's kind of a neat filament because you can do rubber stuff, like super balls. They give you an extra head here. This is that hot end I was talking about. Here's our power cord. And that's the, this is the 4-pin cable, and then there's a 6-pin cable. 6-pin powers up the AMS, and this 4-pin, I believe, is going to power up the hub. And there's really no software to install, but we can get it online for sure. Okay, that's just safety. Here's our touch panel. And there's the main tools. As well as these little needles. You have to be really careful with them. If your hot end gets plugged, it's like this needle. And I don't know how many times I poked my finger with that thing already. It's frustrating. Because you can hardly see it, and then you clear the clog, and then it goes right after your finger. Okay, so the larger one, they said use the short end. You know what? I like it this way, actually. Here's one. And these are just packing screws, so kind of locks down the bed if you're ever shipping. I can tell just by looking at them because they've got a coarse thread. It's coarse thread and fine thread. And I gather it probably connects to styrofoam. Okay, and the inserts in there. So we're going to set that there. So we've got this. Now, is there a third screw down in there that they're not showing? We'll see if it lifts straight up. If it doesn't, I know that there's another screw down inside there. And then for the AMS, let's see, why don't I make a spot over here for it? Up. Yeah. Okay. Careful. Kind of set her over there. And it's got extra PTFE tubing as well. Okay, so we're making progress. Let's see what it's going to say to do next. I like the fact they have all these red arrows pointing at stuff. Okay, remove the screws pictured and then attach that to the back. Easy enough. I should have started this way earlier. Just mucking around with this stupid driver issue on the USB chip reader. I gave it the college try. Alright. Taking these two out. And what's good about having the second one too is I can compare with those screws over there that I put in to make sure that I did put the right screws in the right holes too. I wanted to see if I could fix it internally. I haven't even tried it since I took it apart and cleaned the extruders the second time. I've just been so frustrated with that. It shouldn't be that difficult to do anything. It just seems like I'm running into little issues left, right, and center. Okay, let's see if I can keep from dropping that. Why me? Okay, so we're going to put this on. I'm wondering why they're having me do this so early in the process here. Spool holder assembly. Now, must be method to the madness. There's just 2 screws. And a little thing that just fell on the floor is like some silicate. We're going to see which direction. See, they even have it labeled top here. Yeah, by putting this in too, it blocks your view of this connector that goes into here. I don't know about the way they have all this stuff routed, but there is a mod I saw that you can print out that kind of cleans the cable work up a little bit back here. Okay. So, it shouldn't take me too much longer. I mean, y'all could go to bed if you want. I should magnetize all these screws too, because I'm about to get a bouncer. As long as it doesn't fall into a little hole in which I probably have a primal meltdown at this point. This weekend went. Okay. This would have been so easy just to do this, right? Stay in there, dude. Okay. At least get it started. We got an idea for magnetizing. Hey. There's one. Go. There's one. Second one. Where's my little magnet thing I had out here? I won't worry about it as long as I don't bounce any screws. Famous last words. Right? Okay. Hotbed unlock and screen installation. Sure, why not? So they talk about the touch screen. Now we're going to rotate her. I'm going to have it face towards me here. It's amazing too, the bed leveling. I'm gonna make sure it's on all fours here. The stuff, even with that table over there that I've been using, it corrects for all that, which is pretty cool. If it's bouncing up and down, you won't see it in any prints. Let's see if we can kind of maybe get it that way. Okay. And remove the 3 screws with an Allen wrench key to unlock the hotbed. Okay. say this one. See if I can get it from the top, maybe. We get this magnetized. Oh my gosh. Is that it? Yep. Now, when I'm pulling these screws out, they're not going to be bouncing down into areas. I gotta take a leak. I'm gonna set this off. God.